New episodes of the I Know You Didn't Ask podcast are out every Monday and Friday, available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Welcome to I Know You Didn't Ask. I'm your host, Megan O'Donnell, and did you listen to last Monday's episode? Because it was so fucking boring. I'm sorry. It's hard when you're pumping out content left and right, and sometimes one of the episodes are just not going to be good. When I was editing it back, I'm like, why am I giving a full-on PSA about people wearing condoms? Yes, practicing safe sex is great, but it's just not entertaining. Have raunchy sex, but just, keep it safe. But I don't know what was going on. But if you haven't heard, my part 2 Anna Delvey deep dive came out last Friday. It's a fucking banger. Again, I'm biased. I'm incredibly biased by my own work, but I just have to give myself credit where credit is due. I'm sorry. I just thought it was a really great deep dive. So be sure to tune into that. And if you're interested in watching this, head over to YouTube and I Know You Didn't Ask Pod, and you'll be able to find this episode and all past episodes in full, gorgeous, I was going to say 4K, but it's not 4K because 4K cameras are quite expensive. So I will be buying a 4K hopefully post-Christmas. I'm hoping I get a little scratch from Santa this year so that I can put it towards my new camera. But I'm on YouTube. You can watch this on Spotify. And if you just go to the show notes of this episode, wherever you're listening, you'll be able to see the YouTube link right at the top. All right, what else is going on? Okay, I went to a gorgeous wedding this weekend. If there are any Long Island baddies out there, check out RGNY. It is a beautiful venue for weddings, of course, but they also are just like a privately owned vineyard. And what a vibe. What a fucking vibe. I want to be hanging out on the North Fork more often. Beautiful homes, like the fall foliage, apple cider donuts. It was just fabulous. And so I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling good. And I'm also feeling proud that I haven't bought anything from this godforsaken Sephora sale. If you're like me, you are addicted to shopping and beauty and all of the things, but you're also a baddie on a budget. And I realize, year over year, I'm like, I actually need nothing. I've been making this kind of pact in the last few years to really only buy new products when I'm actually out of the one I have. And it can be torturous at times, but you actually realize wow, I was buying so much crap that would just sit on the shelves of my medicine cabinet and I wouldn't touch it. Maybe I would use the serum once every 3 months, which is not effective. So just a reminder out there, if you're wanting to buy something on the Sephora sale, but you actually have no fucking money, hold the urge. Hold back the urge to spend when you don't need to. Because shit's getting rough out there. And is Trump going to be giving out $2,000 stipends to Americans, low-income Americans? Because I'm technically a low-income American right now, so I am waiting. Hey, Trump, I know you're trying to kind of bait and switch us with this little $2,000 stipend after there was a full blue wave last week, but I will accept your money. I will accept your money, but I won't accept the fact that it will be deducted on my tax return in the new year. So I'm on to you, buddy. I'm on to you, but I will take your money. I will absolutely take government handouts when appropriate, of course. So what else is going on, people? What am I watching right now? I am watching The Righteous Gemstones on HBO. It is a hilarious comedy created and mainly written by Danny McBride, who is, a super famous comedic actor. It's about this wealthy Southern family who own this megachurch, and it's basically like the religious succession. There's the big dad figurehead who of course started the megachurch, and then he has his 3 children who are just dumber than the next, and it is so funny. It has a really dry sense of humor, and Adam Devine's character is so funny. He has this flipped up hairdo. It's just perfect. And the show itself is just, showing how megachurches can be incredibly hypocritical, where it's no, you guys, you're here to pray, right? But put money in a basket every single week, and then you see all the people at the church, the pastors in this case, driving around in G-Wagons and in their mansions and all their fabulous things. And it's so where is this money going? Is it lining your pockets because you guys think you're closer to God? Or is it helping people through the church? So I mean, I don't need to explain how, churches and megachurches in particular can be a little grifty, but it is a hilarious show. Truly Succession, but, make it religious. And I've been watching it for the last few weeks, and we're only on season 1 for now, but we're making our way through. There are 4 seasons, so it's good. It's good when there's a show with a couple seasons that's really good in season 1. So it's oh God, all right. This is 2 months of television that Matt and I can both agree to watch, which is, slim pickings these days. Speaking of things that he does not want to watch with me, yet another Netflix documentary, Eileen, Queen of the Serial Killers. I'm almost halfway done with it. We will be talking about it a little bit more next week, but there's nothing like a lady serial killer who is just like beaming from ear to ear, so excited to be in a documentary about herself. She's like, I will tell you where I killed them, when I killed them, how I killed them. I'll tell you what, like, just who, what, where, when, why about her murders. It's pretty impressive. And of course, there's always a backstory. You know, she had a lot of trauma and fucked up things happened to her while she was like actively homeless and living on the road for a few years. So I think like her murdering was kind of like the retaliation for the horrific, heinous things that were done to her during her, you know, time when she was living on the road. So, you know, there I am being like, well, that sounds justified. Just go murder. Like, fuck these guys. But I haven't finished it yet. So God knows this lady's probably done some even more heinous things. And now I'm going to have to retract that. And next week's episode is going to have to start with the classic Megan apology. I'm sorry, I was spreading fake news. But besides that, Matt won't watch it with me. He finds the fact that I'm really into these like sick, twisted documentaries. Like, I think he's starting to see it as a problem. Like, he's like wondering, like, what am I planning? And I you know what? Nothing. I'm planning nothing. I'm not getting any tips or tricks. I'm also watching Selling Sunset Season 9. I mentioned it last week that in episode 2, there was a jaw-dropping fight. I'm probably on episode 5 now, so I haven't made it too far because I was at a wedding this weekend just living my best life. I had a great little dress I got from Marshall's, by the way, $24.99, and I had so many people come up and compliment me, which is really all I care about. Of course, I'm happy for the happy couple, but I am also very happy for me in the ability to put together a look, to throw on a little makeup, to do a little hairdo, and to be feeling myself on the dance floor. And thanks so much, Marshalls. Had no idea you had formal wear, but you know, I did do a little Marshalls damage a couple months ago, and I can't say it wasn't a great time because I'm not really shopping as much anymore. It's exhilarating when I'm in a store, especially a store that I can afford things in. But that's besides the point. Speaking of people who wear absolutely ridiculous and inappropriate outfits, if I were trying to like sell a house or buy a house in Los Angeles and my broker showed up in full head to toe lingerie and like 12-inch heels and like full hair and makeup glam, I feel like I would just have to say like, I think I'm going to find like another agent. I feel like a frumpy pig. And this season we did get a little bit of a JoJo Siwa arc, which is really exciting for her and Chriselle, you know, two, you know, LGBTQ icons. And again, I haven't finished the season, but I do know there's some drama with Chelsea that I need to kind of get into. I've been just like seeing things on the Reddit pages, and it's so hard when you're not up to date because then you can't be on your threads and you just want to be reading things, but it's like I don't want to be spoiled, whatever. But I really like Chelsea this year. I feel like she's like a little bit like less glamazon than she was last year. She's like definitely changed up her look a little bit. She's gained a couple pounds and she's like looking amazing. But I haven't really gotten into her whole situation yet. But I have been exposed now to Emma's boyfriend, who is like kind of sad and weird. And, you know, I feel like I'm watching gold digging happening in real time, which is sad because I thought she kind of had money and was like independently successful. So even when you do have it all, I'm saying that in quotes, you know, you're still hoping and desperate for a man who comes from money. And like, it's not just like the money that he comes with. Like, if he was just like a nice rich guy, it'd be one thing. But like, he's racist, he's short, he's immature, he has bad manners. He literally doesn't eat vegetables and he's dumb. He didn't know where Boston was. And she's like, he is absolutely marriage material. Like, she's like, you have no idea how loaded this kid is. He has a private plane. His dad worked so hard for his son to do nothing with his life. And I want to be with him. Girl, you should be going after his dad. That's what you should be doing if you are a real smart gold digger. But again, I haven't finished the season, so God knows what's going to happen there. But it is confirmed that Chriselle is officially not coming back next season, which I don't fucking blame her. Chriselle, you got other really cool, chic things happening for you. And her partner, G Flip, is like kind of living in Australia, or they're like going back and forth. So, I mean, you really can be doing this dumb show where you're not even really selling these houses. Let's be real. Like, what's the point of even being on this show? Rochelle has enough fans and shit going on in her life. Like, she does not need this show. So I'm happy that she's leaving. You know what? On to bigger and better. And that fight I mentioned that happened in episode 2, Rochelle was like the victim of the vitriolic fighting and words that were said to her. So you know what? If I were her, I would also have said, like, fuck this, fuck you. And I hope, I would be in a place where I'd have a partner who's like, yeah, fuck that. We are not, absolutely not going to allow people people to speak to you like that and embarrass you and belittle you in front of your friends, your colleagues, and ultimately the world of people watching. As if the world is watching this season 9 of Selling Sunset. Would love to see I would love to see the statistics on how many people are actually watching Selling Sunset at this point, because I feel like it just like lost the plot a couple of years ago. And I think Selling Sunset OC is coming out kind of soon. And I actually kind of like that show, but they're all like MAGA girlies and, people are hating on that. Yeah, I don't agree with, their political beliefs, but that doesn't mean I don't want to see a TV show of them acting foolish. Like, I don't care about your political beliefs. If anything, it actually just reinforces everything I believe and my, political stances, because I want to be nothing like you dumb bitches. Okay, so speaking of high-end real estate, and just speaking of the queen of segues, that is me. I am her. But Kris Jenner celebrated her 70th birthday at her bestie Jeff Bezos' Beverly Hills mansion. So back in 2020, the year that all of us were collectively struggling and like going through a worldwide pandemic, Bezos was buying a home for $165 million in Los Angeles, the most expensive house in Los Angeles. And this house was actually built by the Warner Brothers executive, Jack Warner, one of the brothers. And it was built back in 1930, and he bought it a couple years ago. And I don't know if you have seen this absolutely outlandish fence that he has outside of his property, but he has these high security, super tall hedges all around his property to keep the looky-loos out, and obviously like keeping the crazies out. Like, as much as I want to make fun of the guy, like, people are probably targeting him for some shit. And like, you know what? He doesn't want anybody to see him when he's like hanging out with Lauren Sanchez by the pool. The two of them are definitely like always naked by the pool. And like the poor housekeeper is like, oh God, his cock's out again. Like, really, dude? You have everything you want in this world. Just put your fucking dick away in your beautifully, landscaped backyard. But the 70th birthday was James Bond themed, of course. So there were prop guns in the photo booth, it seems, which, like, again, like, I just don't want to see guns. I don't want to see guns in real life, and I don't want to see guns as props at parties. But, of course, this was a massive milestone for Kris Jenner, 70 years young, and that new facelift of hers is doing the work. She doesn't look a day over 65, and I mean, she kind of looks unrecognizable, if anything, as well as pretty much everybody else at her birthday party. The party itself was sponsored by Amazon, of course, as well as Ozempic, Mounjaro, and Wegovy, because there were people who are supposedly very, very famous who I could not like peg as who they are. I'm like, who's that person? Is that Oprah? Is that Oprah? And we cannot forget people, us normal people out there, we're not fat. We're simply just poor. We are simply poor because every single person at this party is on the shot, on the pill, whatever you're taking. But everybody looked completely emaciated. And I have to say, for a party that a billionaire is hosting, I would have liked to see one photo of any food there. I would like to see a past app or a buffet platter. Like, was this a cocktail party in the evening where there were no food stations? I don't know, but I like to see that, to be reminded that, people do eat at these parties, but maybe they don't. I'm not from Los Angeles, but hey, if I was going to a billionaire's house, I would expect at least a raw bar, some shrimp, an oyster with a mignonette. Like, I want something spectacular. And I mean, we have to talk about the who's who of this party, but of course, it's at Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos' house. And I gotta say, to be honest with you, I feel like Kris Jenner is actually quite devastated that one of her 5 daughters, and, honestly, like her son as well, didn't end up with Jeff Bezos. She was like, come on, the guy's on the market. Kim, what are you doing? He's getting all his plastic surgery to look better, and you still don't want him, or he doesn't want you. I know that really hurt Kris when that didn't happen. And honestly, I kind of thought the same thing about Elon Musk. I feel like there was a moment where like Kim and Elon could have been together, but like after his public crash out, I think Kris was like, you know what, Kim? You can't have another liability. We already have Kanye that we're constantly dealing with, and now he's coming out with, documentaries where he's screaming in Kim's face, screaming in Kris's face. And she said, Kim, you can't fix him. We can't go with Elon on this one. So I thought she would have bopped over to Jeff, but it didn't work out, I guess. But you know what? Again, there's always still time. But as I mentioned, this party was star studded, and we can't believe what we see again because I think the retoucher of all the photos that came out must have been working for 48 straight hours. And I bet he had freaking carpal tunnel because of all the blurring filters that he had to do on every person's face. There wasn't a blemish, there wasn't a wrinkle, there wasn't a crease in someone's dress. These photos were pristine. It looked like it was in Vanity Fair, and we all know the images that are in Vanity Fair are retouched to the gods. So it was a little tricky to figure out who I was looking at. There were moments where I was literally looking at pictures of Kris Jenner, and I was only seeing Kim. And honestly, Kris looks like a better Kim at this point because Kim is all sorts of, shot up with this and that, fake hair, this, like, just, Kim's all over the place. She's like doing a little too much. But we have lots of people there. Of course, Oprah and Gayle were there. Again, both withering away before our very eyes. Oprah was wearing this like two-piece leather outfit, and it kind of looked like a sauna suit or like one of those black garbage bag things that people would wear to the gym to like lose extra weight. You'd think she would have, I don't know, like worn like a fabulous designer dress, but she was going with the garbage bag look. And I was going to say it was pleather, but I feel like Oprah can spring for the leather jumpsuit. I feel like she's got the funds for that. Speaking of shapeshifters, Meghan Trainor was there, and she looked like Paris Hilton. And then as I was going through more photos, there was a photo with Meghan Trainor and Paris Hilton where they look like sisters more than Paris and Nikki do. It was uncanny. It was weird. They're possibly long lost sisters, but again, they only became this when Meghan again has drastically lost a lot of weight. And I know she's a mother and she's on a weight loss journey, exercise journey, aren't we all? But it's the little shot that makes it all actually happen. But I do remember Kris was in Meghan Trainor's music video for her song Mother. So I guess that's why she was invited. Because at one point I'm like, what the fuck is Meghan Trainor doing here? But I guess Kris is like a mother figure to her. As I mentioned, Paris Hilton was there along with Kathy Hilton, and Kathy was wearing like a little sex pot dress. She was looking very good, very, sexy. And Kyle Richards was also there, spotted with her daughter Farrah wearing a, beautiful red sparkling dress. And I wonder if Kyle and Kathy hung out with each other. I didn't see any photos of them together, but I did see, of course, the morally corrupt Faye Resnick was there, and they were all, hanging out, reminiscing about the olden days. And this actually all reminded me of Kris Jenner's I Love My Friends music video. If you guys haven't seen it, just go Google Kris Jenner I Love My Friends. Basically, when she was like 30-something years old, she made her own song called I love my friends. And then her friends would say, we love you. It was like a call and response kind of situation. And she was like driving around in like a drop top Mercedes and like going to all her favorite places. She says she likes to go to carpool. She likes Judith Lieber, Cheesecake Factory, Bible study, Auntie Barbara's, Joyce's parties, lots of tennis, baby showers, birthday parties, Valentine's, and church on Sunday. Like, she's just a simple girl and she loves her friends. So Kris Jenner has been extra since the jump. But let's see, what else? Oh, Mariah Carey was there, as was Tyler Perry. And there was one photo that I saw where he was hitting her with a lower back touch. Like there's something when like a guy touches like a certain curve in your back, you're like, oh shit, like you're trying to touch that ass. And so maybe we'll see something with the two of them in the future. Who else was there? Chris Rock was there. Beyonce and Jay-Z made an appearance. And of course, Beyonce and Jay-Z said, we are not going to go outside near the hedges to be photographed by paparazzi. We're just going to take a lot of our own photos and publish them as well, like on the side. But we're controlling the narrative as per usual. If you really want anonymity, just like don't post the photos in general. See, Snoop Dogg and his bestie Martha Stewart were there. Kim's All's Fair co-stars were there. Sarah Paulson, Naomi Watts, and Teyana Taylor. And I do think Sarah Paulson wants to bang Kim Kardashian, right? So I feel like her lady crush on Kim is really like heightened because of whatever's going on in the home with her 83-year-old wife or partner. I don't think they're married. Tommy Hilfiger was there with his wife. Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber were also there. And Justin was looking good, I have to say. You know, I'm always abreast of what's going on in Bieber's life. And I felt like he was looking good. So Godspeed. I hope things are good for you. Bill Gates was there, of course. He was holding a large present, so I wonder what was in that box because I didn't see anybody else with gifts. Like nobody like brought a candle. And you would think that like getting an invitation to a party like this, they'd be like, no gifts. Maybe every guest here can donate $1 million. We can like really help. Like we can give back. And Jeff Bezos quite literally has the money to end world hunger, like in a bank account or like sell some stocks of Amazon. Like he could very much be helping his country in many, many ways, but instead he's hanging out with the fucking Kardashian Jenners, people who everybody used to make fun of now. And now, you know, it's the hottest party to get into. Fucking Bill Gates is going. And now they're all laughing at us poor, saying, let them eat cake, motherfuckers. Yeah, I'm so sorry you guys are struggling. But while you're struggling, we're going to have a 007 themed birthday party for Kris Jenner and her 27 kids. And we're going to have poker chips with her face on them. Yeah, that's what we're doing, you fucking pores. This is like what Billie Eilish was saying. Like, she should have honestly crashed his birthday and really demanded all of the guests to start, you know, donating some of their fucking money. But it really felt like, you know, this excess of riches. And it's like you see this excess of riches in, you know, pop culture, and then you look at like the news and it's like everybody is struggling and everybody will be dying soon because SNAP benefits are out and the government workers aren't being paid and everything is a fucking mess. And then you kind of like look at an event like Kris Jenner's birthday party that like literally stimulated the economy in Los Angeles. Like the glam team needed the dresses, the outfits, the hair, the car services, the hotels. Like this party literally shook the economy. And I guess maybe that's a good thing. Hey, it's better to, you know, have people spending than not. But it just felt like looking at this aggressively expensive, ornate birthday party was like like a little bit of salt in the wound of, you know, the already poor American environment that we're living in. Mark Zuckerberg was there. Zuck the cuck, of course, he was there. He's got a new glasses situation happening. I'm happy that he can see, but I am also wondering where Priscilla is during his eyeglass appointments. Like, I feel like the wife needs to step in and say, honey, I know you're trying to be trendy, but I'm going to need you to get a simple frame because this is not working. I know you're trying to be cool, hang with the youngins, but it's not really working for you. Of course, all Chris's children were there, and Scott Disick was there as well as Tristan. And, you know, no Kanye, no Travis Scott, no Black China. Only some of the baby daddies and mamas are invited at this point. And Bruno Mars was the performer, which, like, sad to have to be the performer. He's like, really, I'm the fucking hired help. I just want to be drinking cocktails and hanging out with everybody else. I want to be playing poker with Jeff Bezos. But I guess Bruno Mars was truly keeping the party alive because the cops ended up actually getting called by some of the neighbors for noise issues. And I guess he lives on 9 acres of land, but like when you have hundreds of people at your house and a loud ass sound system and, you know, a big fucking bumping party probably until the break of dawn, yeah, you're going to have some issues with the neighbors. A couple people weren't at the party. First and foremost, you know who would have loved to be at Kris Jenner's birthday? Diddy. You know Diddy would have absolutely have been there. And he was actually just accused of creating and drinking his own homemade booze in prison. I guess he made like some kind of concoction of Fanta soda, sugar, and apples, which I guess was left to ferment for 2 weeks. And I guess he was getting a little turned up on that. And, you know, he lost his deal with Ciroc back in 2023. So anything will really do at this point, anything to get a buzz going. The combo of Fanta, sugar, and apples does make me physically ill, but I guess when you're in prison, you know, anything will really do at that point. I will also say, noticeably absent, Jonathan Shaban. And I wonder if it's because he's been hanging out with Andrew Cuomo. Maybe she was like, I'm a mom dommy girl. Like, I love the guy. I love his politics. Yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, the party seemed really fun. Again, I didn't see a single food photo, which was really depressing, but I did notice that I guess there was some Dunkin' Donuts involved. I saw like Chloe with a box of donuts. And then I also saw Bieber with supposedly like white dust on his pants that people were like, that is cocaine. And then I saw another photo where Hailey Bieber was holding a little box of donuts and it was simply just donut dust. And we've all been there, right? But I want to know, like, who was the drunkest at the party? I feel like Kylie really turns it the fuck up, and I wonder if Timothy Chalamet was there. Obviously, the party looked like it was a good time, but what I would really love is, like, being with Kris Jenner at, like, 3 in the morning, the party's over, like the fat has left, Well, I mean, after we talk about how skinny everybody is, but I meant like the metaphorical fat. Like you cut the fat, now you're just with the core group. I would love to do the post-party debrief with Kris and Corey Gamble. I didn't even mention her boyfriend of a million years, Corey Gamble, of course, was there, and I would love to just know like who was the worst breath, who had the worst outfit, who had like halitosis breath after like cigarettes and white wine all night, like again, who got the drunkest. I don't know if we'll see this on the Kardashians next year, because I mean, who's even watching that show? And also this is a really star-studded guest list, and none of these people want to be associated with them on their television show. They'll go to all their events and be photographed at their parties, but they don't want to go on their embarrassing show. Mind you, I forgot to mention H&M were there, Harry and Meghan. And again, still no release date for the holiday special, but we're just going to have to keep waiting for that. And these types of parties really highlight the haves and the have-nots in this world. And fortunately, kind of a have-not in comparison. But I do have so much to be thankful for. And that's all I can really, think about. But, then you see like Kyle Richards and you see her purse that she wore to this one party. And you're like, oh, wow, your purse is my entire net worth. Fuck. Like, fuck. But you know what? I'm actually happy in my life. And I think a lot of these people probably are rich and famous and successful and this and that, but they don't have happiness, like true happiness. So fuck all them. Am I right? I'm like trying to make myself feel better. But we have to talk a little bit about Kim Kardashian's new show, All's Fair. It's on Hulu right now. It's another Ryan Murphy show, and I do not watch anything of his. I remember years ago, he had one of his American Horror Stories that like Lady Gaga was in, and like the first episode, she was like raped by a demon. I was like, well, I'm out. Like, I don't do this. It's a no for me. Like, I always had a bad taste in my mouth with it, but I guess it's doing so poorly right now. And the show is about a bunch of ladies, all star studded cast, of course, and they're all, high profile divorce attorneys. And, this comes at a difficult time as Kim Kardashian did not pass the bar. And I have to say, what are we doing, Kim? Like, I think she really heard Elle Woods say, like, what? Like, it's hard? And, like, she was like, no, yeah, like, it can't be hard. It's like, yeah, I know it is. Like, you could have just, like, gone to law school like the rest of the people who actually want to dedicate their lives to being lawyers. And they do, like, a 3-year program or whatever it is. And then, they take the bar and they kind of do it that way. But instead, she was, like, making this cockamamie way of 6 years of studying and doing this, independent study for being a lawyer. And like, I understand that it's great to have passions and it's great to want to do this. And of course, like, she's not like going to go to UCLA law school every day and like take the curriculum with everybody else. Like, I understand, like, there's logistics and security and there's a million different things as to why she couldn't do that. So I'm aware of that. But at this point, like, you're this massively successful woman. You're literally a billionaire. I understand that you want to help people, but rather than like getting in the muck of helping one individual person get out of jail or whatever kind of, law you want to be practicing, like, why wouldn't you take your billions of dollars that you have to help more people to try to help on a more systemic level rather than saying, I want this guy to get out of jail and I'm going to help him because he was wrongfully accused of something? Like, not to say that that one person's life is like not super important. Of course it is. But, when you see like one person versus like hundreds of thousands of people you could help with the money that you have and the access that you have and the platform that you have, like, it just seems like it's kind of a waste of time for her to become a lawyer. And I do think it's because naturally, her dad did get alleged murderer OJ Simpson, out of any legal issues for him obviously killing his ex-wife. So I'm wondering if this is like rooted in guilt, but I just feel like it's a waste of time, honey. And there was like some photos of Kim thought I'll post on the Instagram where she's like in a bikini and like posing, but like has books in front of her. And I'm like, oh yeah, like that's what everybody looks like when they're studying for the bar. Like she looks like she's in fucking Turks and Caicos. She's got like a gorgeous outfit on. Again, like a photo that is photoshopped and retouched to the gods, but it's like, I'm studying. It's like, honey, okay, we get it. You still have this dream of being a lawyer. Just play it on the show that nobody likes or watches and just move on. But I will say it's interesting that Kim like really hasn't had a boyfriend in a minute. People were saying that like her and Drake have kind of been linked together. Back in September, they were spotted kind of at the same place in Italy, and the background showed that it was the same place at this like beautiful high-end hotel in Italy on Lake Como. I didn't see any pictures of Drake at Chris's birthday party, but there's a couple like little suspect things that have kind of linked them to being together. And back in September, Drake came out with a song called Doghouse with the lyrics that said Lake Como, cigarette boat, shout out to her ex, he a crash out. He took too many pills, he's a crash out. Why, okay, that's great rhyming the same thing over and over. She in Hidden Hills in a glass house. So, Lake Como, as I mentioned, is where they seemingly were spotted in the same location within just a few days of each other. And then, shout out to her ex on too many pills. He's a crash out. I mean, Kanye West, definition of the crash out. So they've been linked together for a while. And even Kanye himself has accused Drake and Kim of sleeping together. And even Larsa Pippen has made comments about Kim being with Drake. And Larsa got dumped by the Kardashians, so she said probably fuck it, burn the house down, fuck them. You know what? She fucked Drake. And we know Larsa and Kim were both hoes together, so, Larsa broke hoe code for sure. But speaking of Drake, again, queen of the segue, we have to talk about Drake's personal friend, Millie Bobby Brown. A very large age gap between the two of them. I believe 16 years. We always have had rumblings and stories about how Millie Bobby Brown and him were buddies and they were like texting, and like he was, texting her when she was 14, he was 30, that I miss you so much. There's like almost no reason that a grown man would need to talk with a young girl unless it's like a family thing and there's a family conversation, unless there's something nefarious going on. And I mean, we all heard the Kendrick song, and Drake has been hiding out a little bit in terms of like being in the public eye since, Kendrick was like two-stepping at the Super Bowl, laughing directly into the camera, calling Drake a pedophile on national television. It was absolutely iconic. But Drake's friend Millie has been having some issues with co-star David Harbour. Season 5 of Stranger Things is coming out in the next few weeks, and they had the big season 5 premiere party this weekend, and Millie Bobby Brown was there, and her and David Harbour were cozying up and giggling and having fun, and all's good on the red carpet, no drama. When just a few weeks ago it came out that Millie actually filed a harassment and bullying claim before they started shooting season 5, and I guess there were pages and pages of accusations, and this investigation had gone on for months. So this news drops about Millie and David. All the while, David is dealing with a very, very public breakup with his wife, the singer Lily Allen, who just came out with an absolutely fabulous album. Her album is called West End Girl. It is a quick 44 minutes, which is kind of ideal for me. Like strap on your hokas, take a hot girl walk, listen to the whole album. It's like storytelling. So the songs kind of flow into one another, and it's like more like her kind of just talking with music behind it rather than like her singing, in my opinion. But if anything, I actually really like that because it's kind of like an audio podcast where she's just like truly spilling the tea on crazy things that happened in her relationship with David Harbour. He's a cheater, pumpkin eater, no fucking surprise. When Sutton Stracke said, name him, Lily Allen said, okay, I'm going to name her Madeline. And so basically David had been dating this woman who in the album is called Madeline, but her real name is Natalie in real life. And so David was actually cheating on Lily with probably a bunch of ladies, but there was one in particular who I guess Lily ended up interacting with, during their breakup and during like the, realization that her man's was cheating. So she calls her Madeline throughout the entire album. And so Lily is singing about how she's talked with this Madeline woman and they've texted about the situation. And Madeline was like, oh, it was just sex. It was nothing more. Honey, is it ever just sex? Like, let's be real. There has to be some kind of emotional attachment. She said, oh, don't worry. Every time he talked about you, it was in a really positive light. If my man's fucking mistress told me every time he talks about me, it was positive, yeah, I fucking hope so. And I guess David then told Madeline, now I'm like getting all the names mixed up. He told Madeline that, oh, Lily understands our situation and she's totally fine with it. She absolutely knows what's going on. Didn't seem like Lily knew what the fuck was going on. And then at one point, Madeline texts Lily, love and light. And I have to say, has she been rewatching Real Housewives of New Jersey? Because that's a Danielle Staubism. And honestly, I feel like Danielle Staub could have been having sex with David Harbour as well, because it seems like he was kind of sticking his dick into anything with a pulse. And she goes into like lots of, his sexual proclivities. There's a whole song called Pussy Palace where he talks about like their shared home being a place where he possibly would like bring women. Mind you, they have 2 kids, not together. It's Lily Allen's children from a previous relationship, but there were 2 children living in that house. She talks about David Harbour, I guess, bringing in Dwayne Reed bags with butt plugs and so many condoms and aggressive amounts of sex toys, bringing that into the house, into the Pussy Palace. They did meet on Raya, which is never a good sign. Lily said that she got so deep into her investigation about him cheating that she actually reinstated Raya, found him on Raya. Mind you, they've been married for 4 years. She finds him. Then she starts, I guess, going through his friends on Raya, us referencing the women on Raya to the women who follow him on that he cross-referencing the women he follows on Raya with the women he follows on Instagram to try to figure out who he was actually seeing. Now, that's incredible detective work. Again, I don't want anybody to have to be put into this situation where they're like needing to, like catch a cheater, but it was a really, really strategic move by doing that. The album's a smashing success, so that's really good. And I think it's like everything else. Like, Taylor Swift, Adele, like when they're sad, the music is amazing. When they're happy, no one listens. We want heartbreak to come through in music. And I think that's like what people listen to music for. Sometimes, sometimes you want to obviously be taken away to like a happy, fun place, whatever. But sometimes like you're wanting like a little bit more and a real story and something that is a tearjerker. But it did seem like this David guy was a bit of a Lothario. He was living with Lily in their gorgeous Brooklyn townhouse, but he was also filming in Atlanta for Stranger Things, also popped down to New Orleans for some movies, and that's where he ended up meeting the Madeline girl. And their house in Brooklyn had an Arc Digest tour, which was absolutely stunning. And he actually, interestingly enough, starts it with this little bit. So usually like, it's like OG Cribs kind of. They like knock on the door and the famous couple lets them into their, gorgeous home. He immediately starts doing this bit where he's pretending that the camera is like a woman in his past, like intruding on him and his family when, he doesn't want her there. And so that was already kind of unsettling and strange. And their home is stunning. Like they were saying phrases about the way that their house is designed that I'm like writing down, layered Italian design themes, English kitchens. I'm writing these things down and, maybe someday I'll have a Pussy Palace that looks like that. In their very designer, fabulous bathroom that had carpeted floors and like velvet chairs, and it's just like it's a gorgeous setup. They're just like rich, wealthy people, so it's like everything is like highly designed. But they have this one like needlepoint piece of artwork of like all of these different kind of like STDs and illnesses that you can get. And I just want to say, girl, you gotta go get tested because you don't know where that dirty dick has been. I don't know. I don't trust this guy. A Dwayne Reed bag full of sex toys and butt plugs. I don't know what he's up to in the family home. It just feels completely inappropriate. They also have a black toilet, which is another sign of something I don't trust because I don't feel like black toilets are clean. Because you can't see any like residue or buildup, I just think anybody with a dark colored toilet is just nasty. I will say I do feel for Lily. Obviously, like, it must be terrible to have like your life fully, uprooted, and like for the man you love and have been with for 4+ years to just cheat on you and embarrass you and make you feel very small. She talked about how she had to get checked into a trauma treatment center after telling some friends she was like super close to a nervous breakdown. And she's also been sober for 5 years at this point. And in an interview with British Vogue, she mentioned that it's been incredibly hard to not rely on drugs and alcohol during this time, just, trying to get through this breakup. And so I just felt so bad for her. So thankfully, this album is going to do really well. And hopefully, if anything, it kind of creates this new creative fire within her, to keep making awesome music. And she's like really cute and like, I mean, based on, her music that I very rarely listen to, I'm like, she seems like she has a great personality. So she will bounce back and this guy will fucking rot in hell. Rot in hell. Speaking of rotten hell, let's just quickly run through some Bravo TV news. So the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills trailer came out this week, and season 15 is going to be airing on Bravo on December 4th. Don't worry, a proper trailer recap will be coming out next week here on I Know You Didn't Ask, so more to come on that. We have the Real Housewives of Melbourne coming to Peacock. It's actually coming out today on the 10th, but my bone to pick is that it's only the first 2 seasons. There are 5 seasons, so to me that's a bit of a cock tease. Like, don't give me the first 2 and get me like so hooked that like I can't live my life without watching and knowing what happens to the ladies. And then not give me the final 3 seasons. Like, are you telling me I have to fucking buy them? Because that's not happening. Next Gen NYC supposedly has a new cast member, and it's Brooke Shields' daughter, Rowan Henchy. Rumor has it that she's now joining Bravo's Next Gen NYC cast, but she's not being followed by anybody on the cast, and they're not following her. So I wonder if that's true or if that was just clickbait. But we'll probably get some kind of update at BravoCon where the Next Gen kids are doing a panel. Charlie will not be there, which is devastating, but I'm hoping we get some new additional insights there as to, if Rowan's involved. Well, is she going to join the gang? I need to know, and I need to know now. As I mentioned, Diddy would be back in the conversation here, and I Know You Didn't Ask. And this time, Joe Giudice was actually giving Diddy advice about how to handle his time at Fort Dix Prison, which is where Joe spent a portion of his sentence. So he said, to Diddy, just as long as you have money, you have no problems. And isn't that just how it always kind of is? And isn't that how Diddy kind of got away with being a sexual pervert for all of those years? He said, Fort Dix inmates are just all about money. He suggests that Diddy could actually offer money to fellow prisoners to get him to do chores for him, which, like, obviously he's already doing. But like a dog, Joe Giudice is food motivated, and he said that Diddy could actually obtain better food by offering money to inmates who are working in the kitchen, which was a tactic that Joe himself used while he was, behind bars. And so I love that Joe is just giving other, felons tips on how to live a better life in prison. I think that's really kind of him. It's really thoughtful. VPR trailer is out for season 12, and the show itself will be premiering on December 2nd, 2025. So that week is going to be very busy with Beverly Hills and Vanderpump Rules in 1 week. The new crew seems properly horny and messy and sloppy and gay, and what I really like is that they are all fresh faces. We don't know any of these people from past Vanderpump shows. And so I'm ready for some fresh blood, new drama, new relationships, new dynamics, all of it. And I will be, obviously watching on night 1. But I'm just glad that, Peter isn't in the trailer. I feel like he probably still is very much like clocking in and clocking out as the actual manager of SUR, but we did not need to see, his exposed chest in one of those tight black shirts in the trailer. Like, start with the fresh blood. Let's start there, and then we can have a staff meeting that Peter can attend as long as he puts his hair back. I feel like there's got to be some food safety rules when it comes to Peter and that hairdo, but I am just so excited. The cast photo, of course, dropped as well. I just am harkening back to like the old Vanderpump Rules photo shoot days where like they were in Lisa and Ken's backyard for that one photo shoot, and then they all were like playing in the pool, which was really fun. And then there was like the retro one where they were all like dressed as like 1950s people and like little like cars that made them look like they were, in the movie Grease. And they had like barrel rolled ponytails and like headscarves on. Like, it was very cute. Like, I'm looking for, some themed photo shoots as we move through the new seasons of Vanderpump Rules with this new crew. Lisa Vanderpump is also Also, supposedly now being tapped for Traitors season 5. I feel like this is hearsay. I feel like this is just gossip on the internet because people are bored. But I mean, we all know she's Bobby Fischer, honey. She's the queen of manipulation. She is one step ahead of everybody. But I think coming into a show like Traitors with that persona, I feel like it really won't work on the people. I feel like she'll get voted out pretty quickly. And actually, the new season of Traitors is going to be out on January 8th. So we have a lot of good television coming this winter. I'm very, very excited. As well as I think Mormon Wives coming back this week. Yeah, it is coming back this week. So I have a lot to do. But speaking of Mormons, stunted Mormons, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Brittany Bateman is doing a 2-night stint at 54 Below on December 5th and December 6th. And that is the venue where I saw Luann perform the cabaret performance of a lifetime. It was her second cabaret show she had ever done, and it was a transformative night. It's where I met my friend Mercedes, who's a fan favorite here on the show. But she's going to be having a one-woman show called What About Me? An evening with Brittany Bateman. I feel like that's her whole life. Like, what about me? What about me? Honey, it's not about you. It says, for one night only, this friendly, high body count haired actress and vocal powerhouse will trade the drama of the screen for the intimacy of New York City's most legendary cabaret room. Expect dazzling vocals, dream roles brought to life, surprise guest appearances, some more special announcements, maybe a reveal or two, as Britney shows the world exactly why everybody's been asking, what about her? I'm sorry, who's been asking that? Just asking for a friend. Prices are kind of steep though. Tickets can range from anywhere from $68 to $192. It's a very small venue, so like any seat you get is a good seat, but I want to be close to her. I want to smell Britney on stage. Showtime starts at 9:30 both nights. I haven't bought tickets yet, but there is a very good chance I will buy tickets to this because there is something very endearing about Britney. Even when Andy Cohen was on Call Her Daddy, he said like the thirstiest housewife is Britney, but like in a good way. And I don't know, there's something, endearing about her. I think she's like deeply troubled, and that's something I support, for good or bad, for better or for worse. The Real Housewives of Potomac star Wendy Osefo's episode of Wife Swap did air this weekend. Reports were saying that it was canceled, but no such thing. It aired last night, and I'm going to be watching it today, and of course I'll report back next week, but it's been a busy week here in I know you didn't ask headquarters, and I have so many great, amazing episodes planned for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of I Know You Didn't Ask. Be sure to subscribe everywhere and listen and comment and all the things. And if you really do have a minute, head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive review. It really helps other podcast listeners find the show, which is really important. And, you need growth. That's what I'm looking for. Year over year, month over month growth. That's all I can ask for. And all I need to do is just keep fucking yapping. That's all I need to do. So thank you so much for listening to I Know You Didn't Ask. Have a great rest of your week, and shoot me a DM if you want to tell me this episode sucks, or if you want to tell me I'm cute. Whatever. I'm here. And maybe I'll respond. Maybe I won't. We'll never know. You can't pin me down. Thanks for listening. Bye. New episodes of the I Know You Didn't Ask podcast are out every Monday and Friday, available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube.